Salut! Bine v-am găsit în cadrul acestei întâlniri aici acum. My first question will be related to the overall exhibition. I would like to ask you if we had to change the roles, you being the curators of such an exhibition, how you can materialize it in that direction, not especially in the sense of some works, but as an overall direction for such an exhibition, as possible curators for this event.
In general, I appreciate this approach with not showing like something that you produce, but shifting into some experience of people, and when artists also turn to be like people with a certain type of experience. If I was a curator, I would also work with these experiences, but maybe in some different way, maybe creating some chat rooms or something, and it's actually very important to have like this direct communication and also see yourself not only as an artist who can be also an actor, a performer, and also be as a regular human who have to evacuate from the war, who have a very common type of experience, and so I've probably base this exhibition around this search of some common ground, but maybe in a different form than here. But like in general, it probably would be it's something similar in approach, but it probably looked different.
Also, another aspect to be added for the question for Borys is related to my decision to have this exhibition with a minimal concrete word from you. Apport. My way of seeing this event was very much related to the installation, the names installation, and to the idea of not having you making words. So I also want to ask you how did you feel this solution, the solution I adopted, the solution I proposed to you, if it was totally outside your let's say understanding, outside your perception of this moment, or if you managed to somehow meet it at some point.
Это как бы ясно, потому что вся основная проблема в том, что в искусстве эта дистанция, она так важна, а ее сейчас у нас не может быть. Потому что, грубо говоря, мы ангажированы победой и процветанием нашей страны. Кроме того, что я художник, я просто еще человек, и гораздо больше я не могу справляться не с собой, как с художником, который у меня есть представление, понятия и каких-то векторов в искусстве, последовательность. Но эта вся последовательность сегодня стирается моим конфликтом с собой, как с человеком. И вот человеческие вещи мне не чужды. И я все равно хочу ангажированно эти все ужасы, которые я боюсь, переживаю, рисовать. Но вчера вот на выставке я выставлял холст, я рисовал их, но так, чтобы избавить их от спекуляции рынка и институциональных этих, я просто их смывал. Но рисовать мне хочется, эти ужасы. Вопрос в другом, могу ли я их эксплуатировать? Но иногда этот крик, он важен.
I know that you at the beginning you had some sort of you weren't very sure about the names installation, and I truly want to ask you now at the end of, let's say, after the opening or the end of the exhibition, if overall you managed to somehow relate to the names, or there's still something very detached from your feelings.
So from the beginning, this name putting reminded me some practices from street art, where usually teenagers put their names on the walls. Tags, yes, and it also was freaking out for me. You like use a surface just to put your name there in such a manner. But then I started to think about this exhibition as something that actually very close to how you operate with your passport. So when you have some traces, some roots, and you have only your name in the passport, and people who check your documents, they don't care about everything. They interest just is name, is it valid, and where are you coming and where from you coming, and we have to participate in this social performance every time while border crossing. So I thought it can be like interesting for me to be in this position of a person reduced only to the name, or to some like abstract text, or to some traces of your roots, and it's actually like very relevant to some like casual human practices that we do every time. So in this case, like I consider my participation as some theater action, and so if, for example, somebody proposed to put my name somewhere in public space as a monument, so I would reject this proposition. But here it looks like some kind of like the dog theater or something, and I like this moment because it's actually like staged rooms, but very documentary at the same time, and interactive.
The first room, let's call it the first room with the names, it has also some sort of monumental value, but it's more staged, as you're telling me, and also more intimate somehow. It's a more intimate space in which we managed to put together this installation. Also related to the names, let's now pass to the second room, this one, with the chalkboard installation. And after the opening, I felt that this room functioned very well. I actually believe that Borys' interaction with the chalkboard was very alive intervention, while yours a more fragile one, somehow more controlled one, more fragile, more rooted one. I want to ask you, how did you feel this part of the exhibition, this chalkboard moment? If you enjoyed it, and if you eventually think that it will form after the other visits into a good piece, let's say.
Я не закончил просто это важный вопрос просто был по поводу украинских художников, по поводу художников, которые в войне сейчас так или иначе находятся они внутри, или они просто спят с этим и ждут утра, чтобы прочитать новости со своей стороны. Так вот, я бы хотел сказать, что у Лакана есть прекрасная фраза: «У искусства нет национальности». Это важно, что украинцам сегодня важно как бы участвовать в международном диалоге, чтобы когда закончится этот кризис, они могли бы темы диалога современного мира, на них формировать свою страну, а не на каких-то более как бы там локальных историях. Я весь путь сомневался о том, что тут нет меня и нету моего произведения на этой выставке. Но сама выставка дала мне ответ на это, как любая экспозиция в моей жизни. Я не придумаю где-то там работу, а только вот этот путь И само открытие дает ответы на вопросы. И, как говорится, здесь и сейчас, когда я принял участие в этом перформансе, я понял, где я тут, и что я задал себе этот вопрос, и он у меня появился внутри. И это было очень ценно.
So for me, this room is about some rules, maybe some game rules, and like definitely this room needs some mediation to explain people what's happening here, and in order they understand that they can also change these rules actually, and there was many questions from people. Like how we can change this this logic and do what we like, and that's how appeared, for example, imaginary cities, which I was not thinking about, and so I put like a direct documentation in what cities I was during the last months, and some people they wanted just to put their native city or to put some imaginary city somewhere in United States or something, and it was very interesting moment, and it also like change basic logic, but also opens a space for some fantasy in this thing.
I would say that this room is both a very concrete, a very present piece of information, and at the same time, as you are telling me, has some sort of fantasy related, which is very good, and also as a perspective for this space in the next future, other Ukrainian people will visit and will edit, will fulfill the space with personal informations. But overall, I think that this room and this installation functioned even better than the names one. It's a transitory space defining pretty much and pretty well, I think, this AICI.ACUM concept and idea and direction. So, as for me, I'm truly happy with the result, and hopefully, I think you will mediate some sort of workshop in the future for it, which will be great, I think.
Что важно из опытов, как бы это мелочно ни звучалось, я поработал тут с новым материалом. Война не сделает из себя хорошего художника. И есть сейчас ситуация, что нам не нужно было быть хорошими художниками всю мою жизнь, и мы не пытались, но сейчас какая-то вот эта вина каждого художника, который хочет как бы исправиться и стать хорошим. Он рисует и использует, что-то должен сделать для этой войны. И это очень травматичный синдром.
I want to add one thing about this chalkboard, because I remembered also about Polish artist Paweł Althammer, who works for decades with different types of social installations. For example, he did many times in different cities drawing congress. And Lesia, Borys' wife, created actually this program in Kiev, and it was the logic that artist gives some space to random people, to all people who want to come and put something on the walls, and they create this imagery, like this self-made anarchy installation in the way they want, and it's always interesting to see like who comes there, what messages people leave, and also it's a question of manipulation, because for example, Althammer puts like very direct frame in his works, and then people have to operate inside of this frame, and also there is always a logic of stepping out of this frame and change some rules, and it's never a totally controlled process.
And I also think that there are this relation as you're telling about rules, there are the rules very present also here, because we experienced that during the opening when other people wanted to have an intervention on the chalkboard,
Yeah.
and at the same time we accepted to let's say open the rules or to change the rules and to put this chalkboard moment on the table, let's say, but also related to rules and also as interaction. I would say that this room is very stiff, is very still as object, as presence, while this one functioned in a very, let's say, alive type of feeling, vibration. Also the children intervention, which was totally spontaneous and I truly liked. It was a very...
Это важный ценный момент, что эти дети уже не будут воспринимать себя как отдельность от музея, а будут воспринимать как часть музея.
And I truly think that at some point you truly don't have much to say, but you are somehow forced by the situation to give answers to people asking you, how are you, how do you feel, how are your relatives from home, what are you doing now, what will you do in the next future. So there is also some sort of question zone in relation to your presence. And I truly think that at some point you maybe don't want to reply, to answer.
So actually I also was thinking a lot about this, if you have something to say or not. Maybe on a macro level I actually can't say nothing valuable because I'm not an expert in it, and maybe I can reproduce some things that I see in news or something, or that I read somewhere, and I don't think it's super valuable and super important. But on the same way, we still operate on this micro level, and it's always a set of discussion, even basic things like where people came from and how long they plan to stay. So it's always a dialogue on a micro level. And if we look to the war situation in general, so we see how people in different countries started to be very active on micro level, on the level of helping, on the level of support, on the level of discovering some hidden qualities of a person. And so I'm a great fan of people in Romania and in other countries. For example, Susanna Vasilescu, who is the director of a union of gallerists, who helped hundreds of people to get out from Ukraine, and in a situation when definitely she can not to do this and do other regular things, and it's activation of this micro level of relation, of support, and in of this rethinking, how other person can be valuable for you, and how these experiences of others can be valuable for you. So I think on this level we have a lot to say, even if it's not change some general structure.
И как раз возможности слышать самого себя сейчас у меня гораздо меньше, чем раньше. Я это очень долго настраивал. В основном мой мозг занят не мною, а войной. Сегодня невозможно говорить о адекватном, артикулированном возможности художников с Украины что-то говорить. Это набор посттравматических криз.
Okay. Also for you, Vitaly, I will try to concentrate around an aspect that it's also, let's say, important for me music. Since you're staying in Romania, both of you guys managed to be involved in all sorts of projects, collaboration, exhibitions beside this one. And I was willing to ask you about your musical practice and how it clicked with your Romanian context. I know that you are collaborating with several other musicians in order to do something in the direction of a music production.
I work with sound for many years, not on a super professional level, but sometimes I do some audio tracks for video works or participate in some live jam sessions, and also produce some sound for data visualization. And I think that sound theme is present in Bucharest. Also, it's a bit different than in Ukraine, but music is some actually universal language, and even on the level of technical things, because people use the same laptops, the same software, the same synthesizers, and also on some kind of emotional level when you have to feel other people without words. And for example, we had some studio sessions a couple days ago, and musicians from Bucharest who actually not super know each other, and also we use some voices, and you have to intuitively communicate with people on this level of sound. Like you hear like other people's sound, and you have to respond in some way or integrate into this pattern. And it was a very interesting experience, even when people like produce some voice sound in different languages. For example, I tried to do it in Ukrainian, and like locals, they don't know what it's all about, and it creates some common space which is intuitively understandable, and you can't describe it in words. And that's why for example, some kind of music festivals or concerts, they work like a space when you can totally disappear in one stream, and it's this feeling of like get lost in the sounds, in emotion. It actually works, and that's why people still attend concerts, still produce music, and it's for example some completely different way of communication, that words, that languages, that politics. And as we remember, musicians in every times they stand against any wars, because especially in 70s with this hippie movement, so music was something that can connect people without any borders.
So you found some sort of musical hub in Bucharest to experiment with and to let's say go further with your own processes.
Yes, actually we work on a studio which is also some kind of a base of some Bucharest punk band.
Nice.
And we have a nice time there.
Nice.
Моя последовательность всех моих работ идет о конфликте понимания зрителя и художника, о невозможности художнику донести до зрителя то, что он хочет, придумал сказать ему. Что зритель так или иначе вмешивается всегда в работу и трактует ее по-своему. А значит, и соучастник, со зрителем, участником, или мои перформансы, где зрители славят меня, кидая помидорами, но тем самым они не хотят участвовать. Вообще любое произведение, что зритель, давая оценку, уже является трактовщиком и участником нового произведения. Я всегда зрителю говоришь, что ты тут есть.
The statement that everyone is an artist. What do you think about that?
Да, не каждый человек художник, но не каждый художник человек. И вот это, оно... Мы ж, типа писали книжку, переводили и делали комментарии к Бойсу, к его важнейшему, можно сказать, труду. И там у меня есть комментарии, где я говорю, что момент, когда каждый человек художник, то и художник может быть кем угодно. Рисовать ногти, перформером, парикмахером, поваром. К тому, что важное, вот оно так и звучит. Если каждый человек художник, то и художник может быть кем угодно. И может это Борис и сделал тем, что, отдав возможность всем быть художниками, он и освободил художника от того, чтобы быть рисовальщиком.
I remember when I was studying in art school in Kiev, like many years ago, and it was a course run by established artists, and I was present at their discussion. They wanted to launch a course, being an artist.
Oh,
And it was endless discussion, and finally they didn't manage to describe what they have to teach there. And it's impossible to teach anybody to be an artist. So you can teach some self-management, something like this, like self-promotion, but you can teach what to be an artist. And actually, speaking about category of artists, we also can get to this endless discussion, because the history of art of 20th century is about expanding borders of what is art, and it started at like 1920s with modernism, with developing of completely new type of form creation, new type of lines of imagery, and then it turned to producing like hundreds and thousands different approaches, which finally blend this border between art practice, like regular life, some social projects, political projects. It's all like this border is very transparent. And I think that if you identify yourself as an artist, so you also have to understand how this expanded field of art activity function, and you can put yourself in different points, and even in a point of some orthodoxial artist from a studio, and it's also something that it's important for some people, and you can shift between different roles, and maybe it's also what was Borys talking about at this time, that like when you are free from this strict boundary, you can be everyone if you want, but it's also a question like what is being an artist, this way of living. It's for me it's more about how you live your life, and so in this question, like anyone can participate in this expanded field of art practices, but to choose this living your life as an artist, as I call it, like social outsider. So it's not for everyone. When you communicate with colleagues, you just say you are an artist, and they understand. And for me, it's also a problem to explain what I am doing. But actually, I'm also work with some like studio decorative things, and if like people want to
more recognizable.
Yes, want to see a piece. I can show them what I do. They won't be satisfied, and we like and this communication.
I want to thank you for your passion, for your time, for your understanding, and most of all for your presence.
So,
Thank you, and the same to you. Дякую.
дякую, thank you, multimesco.
Борис.
Okay.